So, what you see today is my 1962 Dodge Lancer. This was my best friend Ralph Pruitt's car. He had to have it. He pulled it out of a building, I believe is what he said it was originally. He had this car before I met him, and I helped him restore it. Let's go through the ins and outs of it right quick. 62 Dodge Lancer, stripped down to the bare metal. The metal was treated. Bill Davis, who is a local legend painter here in the mountains of North Carolina, Bill Davis painted it. It's 2001 Dodge Viper Red. DuPont base coat, clear coat, diamond clear. Tri-City plating. Lifetime on the bumpers. They done the bumpers. Tri-City plating also straightened all the trim. I had it done, I'm sorry, I'm stopped for a second. I had it done 3 years ago, because that was the only thing on the car that just, it was off a little bit, because it had some little bit of rash on it where somebody's door dings and stuff like that. So I had Tri-City plating straighten up all the trim at $25 a foot, by the way. My wife loved that. All of the, as far as I know, all of the trim's been replated. All the tail lights has been replated. Bumpers replated. All the rubber's been replaced. You can see my jacket in the back glass is because it's like 40 degrees here where I'm at right now, and I'm cold. And the rubber's been redone. The reason I am stopping for a second is because of, I'm also taking pictures while I'm doing this. So when I got it, it had different wheels on it, and I ordered a set of, I think it's from Wheel Ventiques or something like that, of, you couldn't get 15-inch wheels for this weird bolt pattern. It's 5-on-4, which means it's 5 lug, but the distance between the lug nuts is 4 inches, the furthest distance. And that lug pattern is obsolete. So I had to buy these wheels, and they're actually Plymouth Rally wheels, like what you'd see on a 70 Cuda. But I have them topped off with 1959 Dodge Lancer hubcaps. Unfortunately, they're from China. I didn't realize at the time, and they're starting to rust. I had them clear coated. You see the clear coat coming off of them, but they're starting to rust. I can't help it. So let's look a little further. It does have some blemishes. I don't know if you can see it. There's a crack right there in the paint. And there's a crack right there in the paint. But that's the only two I've noticed. There's a couple places in the door jambs, but all right. Sherry Austin done the interior. She lives here in North Carolina. We restored this car, I think in 2005. We were done with it in 2008. I bought it in 2018. My friend has since passed away. Did not want to sell this car. I've had it 6 years, I think. Yeah, I guess so. Did not want to sell it, but I've got other irons in the fire, and it is what it is. Seam's coming loose a little bit right there. It's not torn, it's just come loose a little bit. All right. Sorry, my finger's in the way. It's hard to hold this phone. All right, so the car got away from us. That push button, come to find out, it really don't have a part, and so for safety purposes, my wife had me put a low car shifter in it, and you see that control panel on the dash. So Ralph, that's my buddy, Ralph had to have a V8 in this car, so we sourced out of I think it was an 88 Dodge police car. I think it was a Lancer, or not Lancer, but a Polara. And it's an 88. I think it's got the 302 number heads on it or something. It's a roller engine. And we had it rebuilt back to stock. And it's not no powerhouse, but it does its job. It does what it's supposed to do. And so I put an Optima red top in it. So if you see, we had to smooth the firewall a little bit, and you can see if you look in the top, right in the middle of the screen, there's 2 cracks up there, but that's it. None on the firewall itself. V8 was installed, and once I got the car, my wife had to have air conditioning. And that turned into a nightmare because, one, these cars, except for very few that were designated for racing, never come with a V8, and none of them come with air conditioning. So the problem was getting all that installed. I have $4,500 in the air conditioner because all the brackets, all the pulleys were made on a lathe. To get everything to line up. The radiator started out as I believe it was a B-Cool, but there's not much left of the original radiator. They had, because the outlets and inlets had to be changed. That shroud was put on it. But now it works great. The car doesn't overheat. The car gives no trouble. The windshield is as clear as a new one. Like I said, it has new rubber. This is a rust-free car. That's why Ralph wanted it, because it was a rust-free from the beginning. He didn't have to deal with none of that mess. And so, let me get the keys out of the ignition. Sorry, I got the camera going into nowhere. Oh man, dropped the keys. All right, got it. There's the trunk. New weather stripping. Those were supposed to be the new windshield wipers, but they do not fit. I couldn't get them on for love or money. And of course, I know you want to hear it run. I would too. Sorry about that. Got a little rumble to it. You hear the fan for the air conditioning. It now has a 200 amp GM alternator, one wire. And because I couldn't find a Mopar that for less than $500 that was a one wire, so, well, a 200 amp Mopar, that don't matter about one wire. It's got a good sound to it. Let me grab my drove this car to work every day for years. Well, not every day, probably 3 days a week. It's quiet inside the cabin. Runs good. Speedometer works. Turn signals work. It's just a good car. All right. I was at a local park because that was the best view. But if you're interested, my phone number is 828-448-5223. I'm located right outside of Hickory, North Carolina. Thank you very much for looking, and I hope to hear from you soon.